What's up? It's Marco Sage Soccer. Today I'll be talking about U.S. men's national team players who are going to be playing in Spain this upcoming season. We got 4 players to talk about, 4 really promising players for the future, 4 that I'd like to be on the national team this World Cup. Probably only going to get 3, but hey, we got some really strong players. And first, we got Sergiño Dest of Barcelona. And Dest, he is a top national team player. I think he's one of the 3 best players in the team, right next to Pulisic and McKennie, who you could just plug into any top Champions League team and he'd make an impact. He's such a good offensive right back, and I feel like we kind of forget about that sometimes, but he's a top player and one of a relevant Champions League player, and we have not had any players like that until we had Pulisic, McKennie, and Dest. So I'm really excited about him. For Barcelona this year, it's for a while it seemed like he was kind of will he go? Will he stay? Does Xavi like him? Does he not? They brought in Dani Alves, and then they're letting Dani Alves go. And I think that's probably good for him in the long term to have learned under Dani Alves for a bit. And I think now Barcelona, even if they wanted to replace him, which I don't think they do, I don't think they can afford to, especially not after spending for Lewandowski and Rafinha. So Sergiño Dest, he's there to stay, and it's going to be really exciting to watch him. Hopefully he can keep developing on his defensive game, probably his weak point as a player, but it's still pretty strong, even for especially for the American team. He looks really good defensively, and offensively just continue to keep developing, get a lot more involved in this attack, and it's going to be really fun to see if he can really nail down this spot. And Barcelona, they're kind of entering a new era without Lionel Messi, and if he can be just a locked-in starter, just a part of this next generation for Barcelona, it's going to be really fun to watch. And Sergiño Dest, I think, in my opinion, top 3 American player in the world, and I'm really excited about watching him. Next, we got Yunus Musah for Valencia, and Musah, he's been playing a lot more in the center mid for Valencia this preseason, and I think he's going to have a lot bigger role, which, you can expect. He's getting older, and he'll continue to play, continue to get better, break into the team more and more, and with Musah, we know his ability on the ball. He's been really good, and man, there's been a noticeable increase in his athleticism over the last few years, because when he first got onto the team, he was 17, 18, playing for the national team. It was oh, well, he's not that great of an athlete, but it's just how young he was. That was just natural. He's looked really strong for the USA team recently. I think he's capable of playing in La Liga as a top athlete, and it's going to be really fun to watch him again. Hopefully his defensibility can keep developing like Sergiño Dest and continue to actually play a part, continue to make chances and develop and continue to be a great player for Valencia. I'm going to try not to say continue as I talk about Luca de la Torre, who got his move from Heracles to Celta Vigo, and it's a player who I think we've all been really excited about. Luca de la Torre. His club situation hasn't been the best, but Heracles did a great job developing him. So I feel like we got to give them props, but after they got relegated, he did have to leave, and I feel like he ended up in a good place. I feel like La Liga is a good place for Luca de la Torre. He's not an elite athlete, but I think he's a little bit underrated. He's pretty quick, and his defensive ability is surprisingly solid. He moves around the field really well, and it's a good place for him to continue to grow technically, where he'll be able to participate in a lot of good build-up play. I think the only place he needs to develop is his real final ball, where he hasn't had too many just straight-up goal contributions like assists and goals. I feel like if that part of his game develops, he can be a really top player, and especially for the national team this year, it's going to be tough to break ahead of Weston McKennie and Musah, but I think it's possible, and I'd really like to see Luca de la Torre in this team. And the last player I want to talk about in Spain is Matthew Hoppe, and there's been talk about him leaving Mallorca, but I feel like he should stay, which might sound weird, but I think that the stability would be good for him. Get a full preseason with the squad. Make sure stay fit the entire year. Just stay in the same place and break into the team. He was already getting a good amount of playing time. He wasn't being frozen out of the team or anything. He was on the bench every game. He played against Real Madrid and Barcelona last year. Got an assist against Real Madrid. So I'm fine with him staying at Mallorca. I think the only reason why he'd want to leave is so we can guarantee it or force a spot in the World Cup, but I'll be honest, I don't think Berhalter likes him. Just wait until after the tournament. Hopefully Berhalter gets fired, and, then you can break into the squad. I wouldn't try to ruin his career to just force your way into the World Cup squad, which, it's important. Playing at a World Cup is amazing, but I don't think it's that crucial for him to do this year, and I don't think it's going to happen anyway. with Hoppe, he's a very good with his hold-up play. He's a big striker, good finisher. I think just keep playing, getting game time. That's the crucial thing for him. And I like him doing it at Mallorca. I think he's going to be a good player. I would stick around there, and I think he should stay. This year it might not be the best for him as opposed to like a Luke De La Torre. I expect him to play a bit. Musah's going to play a bit more. Dest will be a starter. I think Hoppe, he should try to stay with the team, break into the squad. So yeah, that's everybody in Spain I want to talk about. Looks like a really good group, like only 4 players, but 4 really good ones. And also, I want to talk a little bit about this. I don't think it warrants its own video. The U.S. youth team released the U19 roster for an upcoming camp. I'm not going to talk about everybody, don't really know everybody on the squad, but we got goalkeeper Gavin Beavers out of Real Salt Lake, part of that's just a crazy Real Salt Lake goalkeeper academy. They legitimately have 5 goalkeepers who could potentially be a national team player. It's insane. He's just another guy in a long line of that. Then you got Nolan Norris, who's a good left back out of FC Dallas. Might be one of their next homegrown guys. I know he's signed for a college, but I think he's probably going to end up playing for Dallas. Asmir Bejterovic, the midfielder from New England Revolution. He's somebody who looks really promising. Brooklyn Reigns out of Houston Dynamo. He's impressed in every appearance he's made so far. A really solid defensive midfielder. Could be that guy for us in the future in a pretty weak defensive midfield position for us. Reed Baker Whiting from Seattle Sounders is on the squad. He looks like a really good player. Still go back and forth between who's better between him and Obed Vargas. And then Marcus Zambrano Delgado out of the Philadelphia Union. Just the top striker at the MLS Next MLS Next U17 tournament. And he's a guy who looks really good. Obviously, really young player. That's why I'm not talking about him in a full video. But he looks like a top prospect. And if things work out, which, again, is a big if, he looks really good. Then one more guy I want to talk about. Everybody else I mentioned is a 2005, so they're going to be eligible for the 2024 Gold Cup or CONCACAF U20 tournament. But one guy who's a 2004 is Jack Panayotou out of New England Revolution. He was a MLS Next U19 standout, a great player, was the top scorer, I think best player for New England as they won that competition. And he's going to be going to Georgetown University this fall. And I'm actually doing a pretty long video coming up soon about players going into college, and he's going to be one of them. And there's a lot of players I'm going to be talking about. That's going to be coming up middle of August, I'd say, is a good estimate, maybe a little bit earlier. But that's been a lot of time making that video, so just keep an eye out for that. But Jack is somebody to watch in that because he's one of the top players going into college this year. And yeah, that's all I'll talk about. I want to mention that at the end, but some good players out of Spain, and yeah, that's all I'll talk about. See you.